very impactful and very intense.
Is our big audacious goal.
Biological healing.
Data enriching is in a capacity crisis.
More than 40 million people worldwide.
Scale globally offers a solution.
Great students from coast to coast.
Circular economy.
"31 days. 64 of Canada's most promising student entrepreneurs, 41 post-secondary institutions, and a $10,000 grand prize. Welcome to the arena. 4 minutes on the clock. The final two ideas enter the arena. Only one emerges as the champion. Let the battle begin!
Let the battle begin indeed. Hello, everybody. It is Michael here from the Arthur L. Irving Entrepreneurship Center at St. Mary's University. So excited to be with you for the finals of the arena. What an amazing month it has been. Over 200 students applied to get into the arena. 64 were selected, representing 41 institutions. And here we are, two left. Two institutions going head to head. And so let's get right to it. You know how I like to work? Let's get to the action. So tonight, each student is going to be doing a 4-minute pitch. And that's it. They're going to try and convince at least 4 of our 7 judges to pick them and select them as the arena champion. So helping us make the decision tonight, let's introduce our 7 judges. First judge, Michael Kahn, president of St. Mary's University. Michael, thank you for being here. I know you're new to St. Mary's University as the president. What are you looking for in a competition like this? What do you look for from these final students?
Well, Michael, great to be here. And it's absolutely amazing to see what students are doing nowadays. And let me say congratulations to all our competitors and obviously our 2 finalists tonight. Well done. I look for imagination and creativity, but also credibility. I think that combination is going to be so important to see how viable these projects are.
Excellent. That is for sure. And I know we're going to see some of that tonight with these 2 great competitors. Thank you, Michael. Our next judge is Jennifer Grimm, CEO and founder of luxbeauty.com. Look, Jennifer, you're building a national brand. You built a national brand. You know what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Give these students some advice. What does it take after this competition is done to be a successful entrepreneur?
Okay, so I started my own business right out of university when the internet was first starting. Certainly no one shopped at beauty boutiques. And so I deeply, deeply understand that starry-eyed, tenacious commitment to the possibilities. And especially when you're just surrounded by people who don't get it and are just no.
So true.
That, like 26 years later, that starry-eyed, tenacious commitment to the possibilities fuels a lot of Lux's success.
Awesome. I love that, Jennifer. Great stuff. All right. Our third judge is Catherine Bagnall-Stiles, co-founder of Gallery on Lincoln. Look, Catherine, I've known you for a long time. I know you've got this great storytelling background and branding. What advice would you give to these students? How do they tell their story the best that they can do it?
Yeah, so Michael, you nailed it. Like for me, it's all about, do they tell their story well? Do they outline the problem they're trying to solve? Do they articulate the benefits really well? Have they identified who their customer is? And most importantly, do I get a sense of why they care? Like, where is their passion for their big idea? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, awesome. That's great, Catherine. Thank you so much. Next up, we've got Mark Brand, a chef and social impact entrepreneur. Mark, great seeing you tonight. I know, look, you have spent your whole entrepreneurial career on changing lives. You know, anybody that doesn't know about Save on Meats right now watching this needs to go check it out. Why is that so important? Why did, tell the students, tell everyone here why it's so important to think about what you're actually doing as an entrepreneur and how you're changing the world.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is not in of itself that difficult. And I know that's not a popular statement, but we've done 15 different brick and mortar businesses, not digital. And when we started doing impact-based businesses back in 2013, nobody really knew what we were talking about. Now, 13 years in, they're the most important thing that we can be investing our time, energy, and our skill set into, because if it's not making a net positive impact on planet, what are you doing? Why would you even bother at this point?
Yeah.
Look at the situation we're in. So we've been fortunate enough to be able to be in service to 6.5 million people so far. We've got teams from coast to coast. I'm in Halifax right now, proudly and happily back as a Dartmouth boy. And yeah, it's really the heartbeat. What gets you up in the morning is what will get you up in the morning. And if you're not connected to it, you won't do it.
No, it's true. And love that inspiring individual. Thanks for being here with us, Mark. All right, next up, we have Janice Buchanan, the Chief Director of Marketing at Irving Oil. Janice, you're back again. You were a final round judge last year. What inspired you about being part of it last year that brought you back this year as a final round judge again?
Oh, great question. I really loved it last year. I loved hearing all the ideas. It really got you. I think when you leave something like this, you just feel energized to do better and maybe even, do something different. So with your career or even how you do your career. So really happy to be back here and happy to be part of the Irving Oil community that supports this.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us, Janice, and thanks for coming back. Next up, we have Diane Lafontaine, the Chief Strategy Officer at the Business Development Bank of Canada. Look, I know the Business Development Bank of Canada is in the business of supporting entrepreneurs. So, tell these students what next steps they should take to get support after leaving the competition. What's so important.
Mm-hmm. Well, the most impactful business don't start big, but they do start bold, right? So
great.
Tonight, what we'll be looking for is, their willingness to take smart risk, the vision they have to already in terms of how they're going to grow that, and also the bit of spark mixed with the ambition, and the willingness to turn that idea into something that will make a real difference. So a mix of all of that, I would say, is what we're looking for.
Awesome. Well, great advice. And thank you so much, Diane. And last but definitely not least, our final judge, Shannon Susko. Shannon, it's funny. I was talking with someone the other day. 6 years we've been doing that competition, which means 6 years ago, you and I sat and we're like, what can we do? And I was like, this crazy, can we create pitch as a spectator sport? And so maybe share, for you, Shannon, why do you think the arena is so important and what it's done over the last 6 years?
Well, I think, the arena, this competition is so important because it is about telling your story and creating that place where entrepreneurs can really get tested telling their story. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, to create the energy, the boldness, and what we really need to move it forward.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the support for so many years, Shannon. And there you have it. Those are the 7 amazing judges, so successful in their own lives and careers here tonight to add to their ranks. They're going to bring somebody forward to the Arena Championship, which is amazing. So let's meet the 2 students that are competing in the order that they will competing. First up, we have Hayden Harrison, the University of Calgary. Hayden, how are you feeling tonight, Hayden?
Feeling good. I was just reflecting on the logistics that go behind something like this. So props to you guys on that.
Yeah,
the second thing I'd say is this format is just refreshing. It's different than anything I'm used to, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and so my second question to you, what do you think is the one thing that's put you here? What do you think is the one thing that you have that's really enabled you to get to this? Because, it's a crazy format. It's fast moving, and I appreciate that shout out. But, tell me what's brought you here.
I'd say a good story and then really defining that problem so that when you go into your solution, it makes more sense.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, Hayden, good luck. Looking forward to seeing your pitch. Hayden's going to be going head-to-head against Megan Brar, University of Guelph. Megan, what about yourself? How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. I'm energized. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. And same question to you, Megan. What do you think is the one thing that put you here? How did you get here?
I think just constant learning and iteration. I put myself in front of lots of people. I kept trying. I got feedback, and then I did it all over again. So I think that's really what brought me here.
I love that. And that's what really separates the arena from a lot of competitions. The participants in this competition, round to round, are forced to completely change their pitch, how their approach, and everything. So it does take a lot to get here. Kudos to all of them. Well, there you have it. We met our judges. We met our participants. You know what that means. It is time for the competition. First up, we've got Hayden, the University of Calgary. 4 minutes on the clock. The stream is yours.
A rancher in British Columbia told us a wildfire came through and burned every fence on his property. The quote to rebuild those fences? Well, $2.5 million. Across the country, ranchers are losing cattle, losing land, and losing money. This is Canadian ranching right now. Over 100,000 agricultural jobs will go unfilled by 2030. The people who grow our food, work in -40, and keep cattle alive through these blizzards are retiring, and nobody is replacing them. Fencing costs over $10,000 a mile to build, and 83% of ranchers say rotational grazing would make them more profitable. It's better for the land and better for the animals, but they can't do it. They don't have the people or the fence, and the tools haven't kept up with the problem. Agravana solves this with solar-powered GPS smart collars that create virtual fences. Stay with me now. These are invisible boundaries controlled from your phone. The collars use sound and mild stimulus cues to train the cattle to remain in and move to designated areas. The system works with no cell coverage required, which is critical on remote rangeland. But here's what makes us different. Our AI software platform doesn't just contain the cattle. It tells ranchers where and when to graze. We use satellite imagery to measure the grass in every paddock and then generate what we call a pasture readiness score. So for a typical 200 head ranch, this means over 700 hours of labor saved per year. 40% more productive forage, which saves $40,000 in winter hay costs, and a 70% reduction in emergency veterinary costs because we can catch health issues early in these animals. But there's a bigger picture. Proper rotational grazing rebuilds the soil. It sequesters more carbon and it promotes biodiversity. Every ranch we onboard is land that heals faster. And so the virtual fencing market is valued at billions of dollars. Halter, No Fence, Vence, and Gallagher have validated this market, but they all stop at containment. None of them analyze the land. None of them automate rotation. They were built for these New Zealand dairy farms and European countrysides. We're building for the rugged Canadian beef operations. And we're connecting pasture data with collar insights to move cattle automatically from paddock to paddock at exactly the right time. These guys are just building fences. We help to run the ranch and make big decisions. Canada has 12 million cattle and 70,000 beef operations. And so our beachhead are these Albertan cow-calf ranchers, which is a $297 million market. And the US, for instance, has 86 million cattle with the same problems. So in the long term, this is a $54 billion global opportunity. And there's also huge potential to adapt to every type of grazing animal. Sheep, goats, anywhere animals meet the land, we want to be there. And so ranchers lease our smart collars at about $12 a head per month. And so that's sticky, recurring revenue with high switching costs. Ranchers also pay on a tiered subscription model for access to our software. And so for the same 200 head ranch, that's over $30,000 in annual recurring revenue from a single customer. And once collars are on the cattle, the data compounds, the system just gets smarter and smarter. And so we have validated this through 50 plus rancher interviews. We have 10 ranches waiting for our products right now, a cash contributing corporate sponsor, over 20,000 in non-dilutive funding, and we've participated in Thrive Academy, one of the world's top agri-food accelerators, as well as Plug and Play. We have 2 pilot ranches lined up to test our MVP collars and software this summer, so we are very excited about that. And so Amir, our CEO, has his master's in software engineering and handles the forage analysis and hardware. Amin Reza, our CTO, built the entire software stack, and I'm Hayden. I grew up on ranches back in Saskatchewan. I've seen this problem. I handle the operations here and the rancher relationships, and we also have vet advisors, ranchers, and hardware PhDs on our advisory board as well. And so this competition's winnings will fuel our ranch trials this summer. It will allow us to pursue an FTO and then expand into other provinces. It's de-risk, de-risk, de-risk. Ranching feeds this country. People who are doing it are running out of help, and we're building the tool that keeps them in business and at the same time makes the land more healthy. We are Agravana. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Hayden. That was an amazing 4-minute pitch. All right. Let's get to the matchup then. Megan, University of Guelph. You also have 4 minutes on the clock. The stream is yours.
Did you know that scarring causes most chronic diseases, including heart disease? It's responsible for 45% of deaths in the developed world, and it costs the US healthcare system over $200 billion every single year. Right now, stents are implanted into organs to break that scar tissue apart and hold the organ open. But today, there's still a 30 to 40% chance that scar tissue will come back, which means patients have to come back into the hospital for another surgery. That's why at Balearis, we're building implants that help you heal better. Our device supports your organ, all while delivering a biologic therapy right into your tissues. To really understand this problem, we spoke with over 70 stakeholders, including 50 surgeons, hospital procurement, and even our competition. Through this, we found out that scar tissue obstruction in your airways really needs better solutions. To start, that's a $200 million market. So from there, we plan on expanding our product into other areas like the heart or liver, and then scale into the $15.5 billion stent industry. But what if I told you stents are just the beginning? As we prove our technology, we'll license our platform into other verticals where scar tissue is a big problem, like wound care or cosmetics. By delivering long-term healing, we reduce the lifetime cost per patient, so we can price at a premium while still saving hospitals money. 30 years ago, the last big stent innovation improved long-term outcomes by about 10%. Because of that, Medicare increased spending on stents by $544 million that year. So you can imagine the impact that we'll make with our technology that significantly improves the standard of care. Our first generation implant is a custom fit airway stent. The last year and a half, we treated 12 animal patients in 4 hospitals across Canada and the States. As we continue our pilots, we're already building our second generation implant by adding that biotherapeutic component. Our main competition is a drug-eluting stent. So this is a metal scaffold that releases a chemical chemotherapy drug. And that drug works by killing all of your surrounding tissue, whether that tissue is good or bad. But what sets us apart is that our technology doesn't just eliminate scar tissue. It actually helps your healthy tissue to regenerate. And we're going to get this done because we're led by an interventional specialist who's driving our clinical validation, a mechatronics engineer who's innovating our medical device, and a stem cell engineer who's scaling our biomanufacturing. My name is Megan. I'm a PhD student in biomed, and I went through 4 accelerators in the last year to become a leader in business. Not only is my team technically strong, but every single one of us is a second-time founder who have built businesses before. Aside from our core team, we're led by healthcare founders with clinical, regulatory, and business expertise. With these funds, we'll leverage a MyTax grant and then use that to expand our network of clinical champions from Canada to the States, then double our preclinical pilots going from 4 to 8 hospitals. These milestones will help us to achieve our goal of raising a pre-seed round by the end of this year, so we can move forward as a company and build faster. Today, 2 billion people in the world are affected by organ scarring. But to me, the problem isn't just scarring. The problem is that chemical medicine is a bandage solution. It mitigates the symptoms, but it rarely actually addresses the root cause of the problem. At Balearis, our purpose is to change that by delivering biological healing. Thank you.
Wow, another great pitch. You can see why these 2 competitors made it to the finals. All right, to help the judges, we're going to get into the Q&A portion. So the way the Q&A will work, we'll be bringing in a judge. Each of them have been assigned a competitor till the final judge that has both competitors to ask questions. So welcome back to the stream, both of you. We're going to get to the first question. We're going to bring up Michael Kahn again. And Michael, you have a question for Hayden, please.
Great, amazing project, Hayden. As you know, successful enterprises are built on adaptability. What do you see as your biggest risk at this point in time or moving into the future?
So the biggest risk for us in this particular moment of time is the hardware risk. We haven't done any formal pilots. This is stuff that's happening this summer. And so that big portion of the de-risking portion hasn't been completed yet. So we have MVP callers. We have the stuff working functionally. It speaks to our base stations. The GPS stuff is functional, and the battery solar powered stuff is working. but it's yet to be put on a cow and to be run in a more research style setting. And so our biggest risk is executing on the hardware side of things.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Hayden. Now we're going to bring up Jennifer. Jennifer, you have a question for Megan, please.
I do. Okay, Megan. So I operate in an industry that is overrun with competitors, many of whom have big money behind them. And yet I've zeroed in on our secret sauce that earns Lux a place in the market. So what earns Balearis a place in the market, regardless of current or future competition?
We've actually managed to keep in touch with some of our competition because at the end of the day, we're all trying to solve the same problem. And through those conversations, we learned that our competitors are actually really focused on their drug-eluting stent technology. And that's very different from what we're developing in biotech. Biotech is a fast-growing industry. Regenerative medicine is growing at a rate of 17% year over year. But the infrastructure and knowledge for this industry is different than what's currently on the market. And in terms of specialized knowledge, I'm a PhD.
Oh, the 30 seconds is up, Megan. All right, let's bring our next judge up. Catherine, oh, you're already there. Catherine, your question is for Hayden, please.
Hi, Hayden. Great presentation. So one of the things that I love hearing is people say, I want to learn to do business good, and I want to learn to do business for good. And to me, if you can do both of those things, that's a complete home run. So I know you talked a little bit about sustainability, but I'd like you to expand on how your product improves sustainability for the ranching sector.
So currently cattle are set stocked. They're put out into the pasture and they graze what they want, and it wrecks the land. With intensive rotational grazing, which is only afforded through our technology because of the labor reduction and the fencing infrastructure reduction, we can move cattle across the land in intensive format, which increases the productivity, the soil organic carbon. It increases the regrowth of the land, so you actually get more pasture for the same amount of land and more cattle on the same amount of land. And it increases the bio.
Oh, just ran out of a little bit on the 30 seconds there as well. All right, next up we've got Mark. Mark, your question is for Megan.
I just want to thank Catherine for asking Hayden my question. And for you, Megan, so you said that your financial model could increase your price point by 8 to 10x. Is the cost of the goods the same as that? And why would you increase in a field that is already excluding a good chunk of the population from access? And would you bake into the model access to that population?
I think that comes from a viability standpoint of the cost of developing the technology that we are developing, is that we're pricing it a little bit higher, knowing that the cost of developing this technology is going to be quite capital intensive. So the value proposition that we're putting forward is that by improving long-term healing, we're improving hospital efficiency and therefore reducing hospital overcrowding, which is a really big problem as well. And so price point would be something that I think as we move forward, we need to.
All right, 30 seconds is up. Thank you very much. Janice is going to be joining us next. Janice, we're back to Hayden with a question, please.
Okay. Hey, Hayden, how are you? Thank you so much. You did a great job presenting. I don't know much about the cattle industry, but I felt like you told me your problem and you told me how you were going to solve it. And I love that it's related to a workforce that's declining. So excellent job. Has any other competitors come up with anything similar or, in this area that you feel like, hey, this is my biggest competitor, so take traditional fencing away? Is there anything similar?
Totally. There are competitors in the market. They're not incumbents. They've proven this virtual fencing technology, and they've been invested in, like the venture capital money has been invested in as fencing companies. And these venture capital firms, they need a return on investment. So all of their dollars are going towards expanding and scaling their current product offering and less budget towards R&D and differentiating their products. That's where we kind of come in.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's bring up Diane. And Diane, you have a question for Megan, please.
Thank you. So, Megan, if you did talk about capital intensity. So, if capital significantly become more constrained over the next 2 years, what part of your platform would you not compromise on, and what part would you deliberately delay?
The part of our platform that I would not compromise would be the aspect of really addressing the core problem of why the scar tissue is happening through that biotherapeutic. So I think that's what's really important to us, is we want to do really rigorous science and understand why this problem is happening and develop a solution that will really target that problem specifically. So that aspect of our science and technology is something that I think is very important to us.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, let's bring out Shannon for the final questions. Shannon, you'll have one for each of them. We'll start with Hayden. Take it away, Shannon.
Yeah, first off, incredible stories, great presentations, like well done. Hayden, if everything went right over the next 3 years, what would you have built and how would you measure that success?
So in 3 years, we'll have a fully functioning commercialized hardware version, and our software will be trained on our proprietary data sets. We will have this stuff on cows. We will be grazing, and we will have built a system where ranching is run on paddock to paddock basis, and then we will measure this through ROI on the ranches. How much labor are they saving with our systems? How much more productive is their forage, and how much more usage can they get out of their land? This is something we really care about.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Hayden. Question for Megan, Shannon.
Megan, 3 years from now, what would winning actually look like for your business, knowing that it's a little bit longer cycle?
It is a longer cycle, but in 3 years, I would love to have a fully functioning MVP, and that's fully safety tested for our 2nd generation stent. Have that be tested in preclinical models and ready for our first in-human studies, proving that the science is there, proving that this technology is going to really help people in the future. So we've significantly de-risked our platform.
Great.
Excellent. Well, there we have it. Those are all of the questions. We've heard the pitches. The judges are now hard at work deliberating. So we're going to give them some time. And while we give them some time, let's say some thank yous. We've been showing our appreciation throughout, but there are a few groups we want to just make sure we thank again. First, the team here at the Arthur L. Irving Entrepreneurship Center. There's a lot of heavy lifting that goes to run a competition like this. And I'm going to name specifically the individuals that are here for every matchup. We have Lisa in the back end. None of you see her. All the judges see her. All the competitors see her. Lisa's moving people in and out of this stream like a magician, making sure it goes well. This is also Lisa's last day at the Entrepreneurship Center as she goes on to become the Student Union President at St. Mary's University, of course, because she is amazing. So we wish her the best. Natasha, of course, hosted every matchup as the early rounds of this competition. Is a lot, and I was happy to take over for her, but I know I haven't filled her shoes at all. She has been amazing through this competition. Then we have Brennan as well, supporting the team, showing up. He was supporting me today, make sure the tech is going well. And then Pratik, who's created these amazing videos that you see. But it doesn't stop there. There's others on the team that have been reaching out to partners, doing everything, all working hard to make sure this competition goes well. So a huge thank you to them. The second is to all of you watching. It's amazing that you take your time to go and support these students and their ideas. And so thank you for tuning in. We've had thousands of people watch the competition, and that just warms our heart and makes us oh so humble. So thank you for that. But the last is really, the last two, the schools that we're partnering with as well are so important. You see all these schools across Canada supporting student entrepreneurs, helping them take these ideas to market. This country is in an amazing place because of these institutions. So thank you to all of them. But lastly, it is the students. These ideas are changing the world, and that is an amazing thing. So thank you for being part of the arena taking these ideas and moving forward. And, you know, it struck me during the semifinals, we had Manik and Mizwar back. They have taken their businesses. They're now hiring people, moving those businesses forward. And that's really what this competition is about. Give a stepping stone for students to really grow their businesses and have an impact on our economy. So thank you to everyone. And we're going to go to the deliberation video. We're going to be back in just under a minute to find out who is the arena champion. I don't know why I'm nervous. I shouldn't be nervous, but I'm nervous for the participants. Look, Hayden, Megan, no matter who walks away as the arena champion, you both have done a great job. And I am proud that you are a representative for the Arena 2026. But I won't belay it any further. I do have a winner. And congratulations goes to Hayden Harrison, the University of Calgary. You are the arena champion. Hayden, how are you feeling in your first moments of finding out?
This is crazy. That's not what I expected when I signed up for this thing. Yeah, I don't even know what to say.
Well, look, well earned, Hayden. It's been a pleasure seeing you throughout the rounds. Congratulations. You're going to go on and build something amazing. So will Megan. So will all the other students in the competition. But that's it for now, everyone. We are officially wrapped on the Arena 2026. The good news is applications for the Arena 2027 open in September. Make sure you're getting in early, representing your school as you vie to become the next arena champion. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Stay hydrated, and we'll see you next year.